We love finding the next great guest. But now we want to hear from you. What's resonating? What should we dig into next?
Send us an email at hello@abracigroup.com. That's hello@abracigroup.com. Or even better, a voice note. Keep it to 30 seconds. We can't wait to hear what's on your mind and to share it with our listeners.
Beliefs are like a box, right? So if you have the belief, men can't be trusted, inside that box is not meeting a fabulous man and just trusting him. It's not a possibility in that box. When you eliminate that box or that belief, that's possible. You know, if you believe water's boiling, you're not going to put your hand in it. If you believe people can't be trusted, you won't trust people.
Sometimes making lasting change means stripping everything back to the core. Shelly Lefkoe knows all about that. Her work at the Lefkoe Institute has helped tens of thousands of clients make profound life changes. Her method? Identifying and then eliminating the beliefs that hold people back.
Once the belief goes away, there are possibilities that didn't exist before.
Today, Shelly takes us through the Lefkoe Method, the ways we construct walls around our lives, and her powerful process for pulling them down.
You're listening to The Breakout, a show about pushing back against expectations, against fear, and against that little voice telling you to stay small. I'm Dr. Carrie Ulrich.
And I'm Kelly Gunther. For over 25 years, Carrie and I have helped people make bold leaps, or just take that first, small, powerful step. On The Breakout, we show you that anyone can push back.
Because that's how we find our way forward. When we recorded with Shelly, I had lost my voice, so I had to miss the interview. But I listened in later, and Shelly's method blew me away. I know you're going to love it too.
Absolutely. Make sure you stick around till the end when Shelly shares a code so you can try out the Lefkoe Method for free. Now, check out my conversation with Shelly Lefkoe.
First, I just want to say before we start, everybody listening should go leave a 5-star review because this podcast is so wonderful. I love you both. You're just awesome, really.
Oh, thank you so much. What a great way to start our time off together.
Yeah. So I was very excited because what I talk about is breaking through issues. So what I do is I help people quickly get out of patterns. So people procrastinate. We don't stand up for ourselves. We get into relationships going in that we know we shouldn't be in. We stay in jobs that are unsatisfying. So I help people quickly and permanently eliminate the beliefs that cause those problems so they could have the lives that they really want.
How fascinating. So you run the Lefkoe Institute, where you do this work with clients around the world. What is the Lefkoe Institute and how do you help your clients?
So I work with people who want to change something in their lives. And, you know, it's so interesting. I just came back from Hawaii where my daughter lives, and I've done a lot of work on myself. So I'm, pretty good. And there were some bumps, where she said, Mom, you have a comment about you want to give a lot of your wisdom. And a lot of times it's wonderful and a lot of times it's not. So I came home and I scheduled a session with one of my facilitators and I said, okay, I want to see what do I believe that has me comment on things that are none of my business, right? So that's really what I do. I work with entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of people in the self-help world. I work with sexual abuse survivors, which is my favorite population because when they get rid of the beliefs like I'm worthless or I'm powerless. I just did that on Friday with someone and she had this kind of tick that she did every time she said a belief, a bodily tick. And when we did on damaged goods, I swear she had one so strong, I thought it was going to knock her off her chair. And she was this beautiful, beautiful 70-year-old woman, gorgeous. And she had tried everything. She had done every modality known to man. When she got rid of that belief, she said something lifted out of her, that she no longer had to define herself by something that happened 50, 60 years ago, right? So I work with people who have serious issues, but I also work with people who just can't stand up for themselves, or they feel stuck, or they're not exercising, or they're not taking care of themselves. And I take them through this process. It's very, very powerful. I always say I'm a results girl. So if everybody's listening, if you think about something in your life that you wish would be different. So it's either something that you do that you want to stop doing, or something that you want to do that you're not doing, or something that you have that you don't want to have, or something you don't have that you want. Those are called behavioral patterns, right? Emotional patterns are, I feel anxious, I feel depressed, I'm scared all the time. Those are emotional patterns. And then there's reality patterns. I do all the right things and nothing ever turns out. And I want to make a distinction. A belief is a statement about reality that we hold as the truth. I hear people who say they do belief work and they conflate patterns and beliefs. So I can't lose weight. That's a pattern. It may become a belief down the road, but that's an operating pattern, right? So the way to fulfill myself is to eat. The way to feel better is to eat. Those are beliefs. Life is hard. I'm not good enough. So we have self-esteem beliefs. And then we have beliefs that we call survival strategy beliefs. So let's say pretty much everybody has the belief, I'm not good enough, right? Because most people don't parent effectively. So we all end up with that, which is why I created a parenting course. I want to put myself out of business.
Fantastic.
So if you have a belief, I'm not good enough, or I'm not important. So I'm not good enough is like a beach ball. And it's in your face and it's horrible. So we form beliefs like, what makes me good enough is achieving things. So that's what workaholism is. So we have to keep that beach ball underwater. So as long as I'm working, as long as I'm achieving, then the beach ball called I'm not good enough stays underwater. But it's driven and it's exhausting. I had a man call and he said, Shelly, I'm worth $10 million. I'm on the cover of business publications. When is it going to be enough? I keep saying I'm going to go home for dinner, and I don't. I keep missing my kids' plays or their soccer games. Or he said, I'm driven to keep doing it. And when we worked on those beliefs, bam, he was free to live the life that he was meant to live, that his kids were meant to have a father. So when you get rid of survival strategy beliefs, you have a choice. You can achieve or not achieve. But when you have a survival strategy belief, there is no choice. If you're the oldest in a big family, what you get acknowledged for is taking care of the siblings. So you conclude, what makes me good enough is taking care of people. Now I've got this addiction. I'm either a healthcare worker. Somebody says, oh, I'm the oldest of 10. And I say to them, are you a nurse? And they look at me like, how did you know?
Fascinating. Because I've heard it as like limiting beliefs, and they're bucketed, and they're not really bucketed the way that you've just described it, where you can make it behavioral or reality-based. So I think that's a key distinction in how your model works. Would that be fair to say?
So here's what makes my process different from any other process. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 things to look at: Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, or the Tooth Fairy. So I doubt anybody listening didn't believe in one of those things.
Yep.
And one day I never saw Santa Claus. I made that up. I never saw the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy. I just caught my mother putting money under my pillow. And the moment you get that you never saw Santa Claus, the belief goes away and never comes back. So it is impossible to not believe something you think you saw. And I have clients in every country. And when I say, doesn't it seem like you saw I'm not good enough? Kelly, everybody says, I did see it. And I say, really? What color, anything you can see, has a color, a shape, and a location? You cannot see I'm not good enough. You can see your father criticizing you. You cannot see I'm not important. You can see your parents not spending time with you. You cannot see life is hard, but you can see your parents struggling.
Yep.
So we come into this world as a little ball of consciousness. And when I ask people, what is the one word question every child asks all day long? Every country in the world, parents say the same thing. Why? Why? Why can't I live up to my parents' expectations? Oh, I guess I'm not good enough. Why are they struggling? I guess money is scarce and hard to get.
We carry so much of that with us that you're right, can't see it. And we're manufacturing that my worth and my value is ascribed to how my father reacted when I didn't do something right. And that reaction that can be very jarring and you can forever take with you. So I'm thinking back to the 70-year-old woman that you spoke with who was carrying around this weight and what that must have felt like for you and her to see that sort of rise away from her.
For 35 years, I've been doing this, Kelly, and it never, ever, ever gets old.
I know I wasn't there for the recording, Kelly, but of course I listened to it, your discussion with Shelly, and I especially adored the way she talked about Santa Claus and beliefs and how it's all in your head. And I just really appreciate that she is tackling those self-limiting beliefs, because that's really, most of it is in our head of, I can't do this. I could never do this. Well, I totally believe that Kelly doesn't like me. Really? You don't know? You haven't found out? Santa Claus is real. So how did you feel when you talked with Shelly?
It was, to me, like the power of asking the question. It, you know, at times it made you uncomfortable, which is why I think it is so effective, is because it does make you look internally, which for some people is really difficult to do. And so once you can, you know, take ownership of that and make a decision to think differently, amazing things can happen.
It's like, Kelly, when we work with clients and we say, use the 5 whys, like, well, why is that? Why is that? Get to the root cause. And it's the same thing you're doing for self-awareness is, well, why do I believe I can do it or I can't do it? Like, where does that come from?
I wrote a book called Hitting the Wall. It's for entrepreneurs, but it's really about my work. And I talk about the importance of watering all the plants. So if you look at your lives, right, if you had a lot of plants in your house, you would never water just one because the others would die. And yet we have all these plants. We have relationships, romantic relationships, relationships with friends, relationships with our children. We have our health, taking care of this body that's going to take you through the rest of your life. We have our careers. We have our hobbies, our interests. Our lives are consistent with our beliefs. And if any of your plants are not vibrant and healthy, there are beliefs that are keeping you from paying attention to those areas.
Just hearing you talk about looking at every single aspect of your life and figuring out what is working and what isn't working. And I went online to actually kind of follow the 30-minute process, which I thought was incredible, in part because it's uncomfortable. I mean, really, it makes you uncomfortable, which is what the moment where you start growing. But your late husband, Morty, he has an easy way about himself that he makes you really want to engage in the process.
He was the real deal. I mean, his life was about people living as the unlimited possibilities that they are. And nothing addresses the fact that beliefs live with us through all the other things people do because we still think we saw them. And you can't not believe something you think you saw. Evidence doesn't get rid of beliefs, Kelly. It is so fascinating. I'm afraid to destroy my credibility when I say this, but I worked with 5 Harvard PhDs who had the belief, I'm stupid. When I said to one of them, he was a staff psychologist at a big company, and he was bored. He hated his job. And I said, well, what do you believe that has you not get another job? And we kind of pulled it out. And all of a sudden, I said to him, well, you sound like you believe you're not smart. And he goes, no, I'm stupid. And he had tears in his eyes. So when he was a kid, every time he did something wrong, his father would smack him on the back of the head and say, genius, genius. So when I said to him, doesn't it seem like you saw I'm stupid? And we also do alternative interpretations. What else would explain your father's behavior? But when we get to that step that says, doesn't it seem like you saw I'm stupid? He said, I did. You could not do well in school and it feels like you saw I'm stupid. No, you saw being in a specific school system, learning how you were learning. And maybe you weren't learning in your learning style, and maybe you shouldn't have been in a class with so many kids, and you weren't getting the attention you needed, and maybe you weren't motivated, and maybe you were in a shitty school system,
Absolutely.
But all you saw was grades on a report card, or you saw your parents' faces, or they got angry. And that's what makes my process different. Every single day of my life, people say to me, I've tried everything. This is the only thing that worked. Because the belief goes away. And once the belief goes away, there are possibilities that didn't exist before.
We'll get back to the interview after this quick break. You know those rules you follow every day? The ones about what you should do, who you should be, and how your life should look?
Yeah, we've lived by those too, until we broke out of them. And here's what we know. Those rules, they're not your truth. They're someone else's expectations.
So let's change the story. Come find us at abrachigroup.com. We'll help you build a life that actually fits you.
Shelly, where did the passion for this work come from with you and Morty? How did that kind of manifest itself?
Well, when Morty was on what he called a spiritual intellectual journey to discover why people knew what to do. So we all know that if we eat healthily and exercise, we'll live longer, better lives. But a lot of us don't do it. We know what not to do. We know going into a relationship where there's red flags, we go in and stay in. We read books. Every business book will tell you mistakes and failures are learning opportunities. You can't be successful if you aren't failing. So he's on this journey to discover, why is it that we do these things that we know we shouldn't yell at our kids, but we yell at them, right? So he's on a plane. Now, this was, Kelly, 35 years ago. Not only was nobody talking about beliefs, when I said I help people eliminate beliefs, they would say, beliefs? You mean like religious beliefs? They didn't even know what I was talking about. So he's journaling on this plane.
Mm-hmm.
He comes home. He says, Shell, I had a breakthrough on the plane. He shows me the process. He says, I'm going to do it with somebody. And we had a friend who couldn't find a relationship, and she wanted to get married, and she wanted the relationship. And he worked with her. And at some point he said, well, what do you believe? And so she says, well, marriage is suffocating, and you have to give yourself up your independence if you get married, and men are selfish, So he picked one of these beliefs, and he eliminates the belief with her. And Kelly, it was like spirit whacked me on the head. I swear to God, it was almost as if I heard a voice say, this is what you are here on this planet to do this lifetime.
Amazing.
We did a stress research project with the University of Arizona. We reduced stress faster than cognitive behavioral therapy.
Wow.
And Tony Robbins. That was the 3 measures. And we did a study with incarcerated men who were getting out of jail. And that was the most fascinating thing I've ever done, to see how their beliefs correlate with their behaviors. Was fascinating. We produced statistically significant behavior changes with them.
It's incredible when you allow yourself to open yourself up to a process and trust someone with maybe these beliefs that have curbed you from doing the things that you've always wanted to do, but you haven't been able to. It's incredible how that self-awareness and releasing that can actually create a whole new life for yourself. So, you've used it with yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
How has your own personal experience sort of helped you to even become an even stronger advocate for what you believe in?
I love that question, Kelly.
Oh.
So I was very blessed. I was very, 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 very blessed. I had a mother who was unconditional love, and yet she did too much for me. Because she loved me so much, right? So I had the belief I'm not capable. So I could do a lot of things really easily. I was very lucky, but when something was hard, I didn't do it. I staffed it out. I asked a friend. My girlfriend used to make my kids Halloween costumes. I wasn't willing to do it. And because my father, who was also wonderful and loving, could be very critical sometimes, I had the beliefs, like everybody else had, I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart, and when I got rid of those beliefs, and particularly mistakes and failures are bad, that all made a difference in my willingness to take risks, to do things. But the biggest belief I got rid of, I had a mother who wanted me to be popular, loved, and included. She didn't care what my grades were. She didn't care, but she just wanted me to be happy, right? And so if I was invited to a party, she'd say, oh, Kelly invited you to the party? And if you didn't, she'd go, oh, Kelly didn't invite you.
Yep.
So I concluded, and this is one of the most common beliefs that people have, what makes me good enough is having other people think well of me. So I would walk away from conversations going, did I say the right thing? Did I ask about her mother? Did I, will my flowers look okay? Was she nodding her head? So that voice in your head, everybody, that voice in your head that talks to you all day long, blah, 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 drove me crazy. When I got rid of that belief, my entire life changed. In that moment, when the belief went away, I became my authentic self. I spoke in front of 800 people in Croatia. My scarf fell off. I forgot what I was saying. It was just not my best talk. It just wasn't. And I was fine.
Right.
When I got rid of I'm not good enough, and what makes me good enough is having other people think well of me. It isn't that I don't care what people think. I mean, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But that's not the issue. The issue is it no longer defines me. It doesn't put me away. I don't think about it for days. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens when you eliminate beliefs. That's just natural. It's easy. However, when you have a negative emotion, and a negative emotion is any emotion you don't want to feel,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go around feeling anxious, sad, depressed, scared. I mean, they're just not fun emotions.
Sure.
So when you have an emotion, you let yourself have it, you feel it, you don't suppress it or make believe you don't have it. Somebody walks by you and doesn't say hello. What might you automatically think?
I might think that they're busy thinking about something.
Good. That's meaning, right?
Okay.
Everybody doing it. You could have said, that's rude, they don't like me, 50 different ones, right? But the fact that that happened has no inherent meaning. Where does meaning come from? Your mind.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All meaning comes from your mind, right? It's in your brain. They like me. They don't like me. I'm going to fail. My boss yelled at me. She's going to fire me. That's meaning, right?
Sure.
And we give meaning all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you ready?
Yes.
If meaning is in your mind, do events have inherent meaning?
No.
No. Events have no meaning. They may have consequences. So my husband died. The consequences were enormous, right? It was
Absolutely
very sad. But does it mean, and here were some of the meanings I gave, I'm going to starve to death. I don't know how to run a business. He left me with a business. I'm the people person. I'm the speaker. I'm not the business girl, right? So I'm going to starve to death. Well, it could mean you're going to starve to death, and it could mean you're going to step up and learn how to run a business. And it could mean you'll hire somebody. But the fact that he died doesn't mean anything. We don't know anything for sure because it happened. Next day, I don't want to get out of bed. Grieving's healthy. Not wanting to get out of bed is not. What happened? Morty died. What meaning did you give it? I'm going to be alone forever. Well, what else could it mean? Well, it could mean that you're going to meet somebody and have a whole second act.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he died has no meaning. Now, all of our emotions come from the meaning we give events.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yes.
you learn how to dissolve the meaning by getting that the meaning's in your mind, not in the events, the emotion goes away. Now, deal with it, don't deal with it. Your kid mouths off at you. She doesn't respect me. Well, it could mean that. And it could mean that she's just upset and angry and feels safe enough with you to lash out. But the fact that it happened has no meaning.
Mm. You know, how often do we really stop to pause and think about these things? We attribute so much, like you said, emotional value to everything that misreading someone can have detrimental consequences that carry you throughout your life, your day, your week, whatever. And just you being able to break it down in such simple, easy to understand steps is incredibly powerful. It almost seems too simple when you think about it.
Kelly, I really loved when Shelly was talking about what are other possible meanings. So we're it's sometimes dead set in our head that that's the meaning. So ask the question, well, could there be another reason that Kelly doesn't like me? Maybe Kelly's tired today and I misinterpreted a text, or like not to go down so much of a rabbit hole, but realize that you think you know and you might not know it all. So that I just think is such a great coaching advice to say there possibly is other meanings.
We tend to be the center of our own universe. It's true. So it's hard, it can be hard to not take it personally.
100%.
Now, the interesting thing is the meaning that we give events usually come from our beliefs. So if you don't if you don't eliminate the beliefs, you have to keep doing it. But it's an amazing, amazing tool because it gives you freedom in the moment because the emotion is going to run you.
And it gives you the choice, I think is an operative word that you used earlier too, of the choice of how to respond.
And when you get that, just come up with one other possible meaning. And then you'll get, your boss looks at you cockeyed. Oh God, she's going to fire me. What else could it mean? She's having a bad day. But what does it mean? Another way of saying that is, do we know anything for sure because it happened? And the answer is always no, always.
What I love is the question of what else could it mean? In HR, we talk to people all the time who have these fears and anxieties about things. And that is a great question I'm going to put into my arsenal of what else could it mean? You think it means this, what else could it mean? I think that's so powerful.
Yeah. And if you take it one more step and say, where is that meaning? The meaning's in your head. It's not in the events.
It's such a simple question, and you're breaking it down and taking it down to the studs.
Yeah. And going back to belief, for some people, looking at their beliefs is uncomfortable because we've tried to push them down our whole lives. And it's why people get grumpy, when they get older, because their survival strategy beliefs stop working and all their beliefs are in their face. And this program that we have called Natural Confidence is 19 self-esteem beliefs, and you just get rid of them, and your whole sense of self changes.
I mean, Shelly, you're so delightful. I could imagine you and Morty together, just listening to Morty talk through the process. The two of you, what a powerhouse duo. One final question. If you have a minute with someone who's stuck, who's really struggling, and they want to break out, they're not sure how, what would you tell them?
Get rid of your beliefs.
It's that simple, right? Yeah.
That's what I would tell them. Beliefs are like a box, right? So if you have the belief, men can't be trusted, inside that box is not meeting a fabulous man and just trusting him. It's not a possibility in that box. When you eliminate that box or that belief, that's possible. If you believe water's boiling, you're not going to put your hand in it. If you believe people can't be trusted, you won't trust people. There are wonderful techniques to make a relationship work. But if you have the belief relationships don't work, because your parents had a crappy relationship, guess what? You're going to keep having relationships that don't work. So I sometimes sound like a broken record. What would I tell somebody to do who was stuck? But get rid of your beliefs.
There are so many wonderful tools on your website, too, that are easy to access. It was really powerful. I was a bit skeptical, but I relinquished that part of me that questioned it, and I went with it. And it was just so moving because I realized just how uncomfortable I am sometimes with how I feel and what I think. And so when you can move past that level of being uncomfortable, amazing things can happen. I know Carrie is going to absolutely be miserable that she missed this because she was sick. But I'm just so indebted to you for giving me a different way to think.
I want to thank you for honoring Morty and bringing him to the table. Very few people do that. And he created a legacy that will live way, way beyond both of us. And I just thank you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, I want to give everybody the belief through blueprint. So if you go to my Instagram, so it's at Shelly, Shelly, Lefkoe, Lef as in Frank, Koe. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes. And you put in Breakthrough 25. We will send you this opportunity to eliminate a belief for free. And because I love Kelly and she's so wonderful. For the first 15 people who do it, you can also have a free mindset call with me where we can look at where you're stuck and what your beliefs are.
Well, Shelly, you're 1 in a million.
Thank you, sweetheart. Ditto. You're an angel.
That was Shelly Lefkoe, pattern breaker and life changer. And this is The Breakout. If you love the show, do us a favor. Follow, rate, review. You know, all the podcast things.
Or better yet, share an episode with someone who needs a nudge. It helps The Breakout grow, and it just might help your friend too. I'm Kelly Gunther.
And I'm Dr. Carrie Ulrich. Thank you so much for listening. See you soon.